All right. What's up, guys?
We're
How are
here.
you? Yeah, we're here. We're
Oh,
all
Hello.
here.
see, Matt, I got to pull back one more there on the camera.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So Tom got a fancy AI camera, the same one I have, and it's fun because it's software controlled, so you can kind of zoom
I
in,
got
zoom
it
out.
on. I got it on sale. Like I
Yeah.
had to wait until it went on sale. Matt's playing a different game than
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah. No, I'm a tech guy, so I have all the gadgets. Yeah. So Sarah, you are in Utah? Do I have that right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Salt Lake City.
I got to tell you, just to kind of get us right into it, when I think of psychedelics and exploring the cosmos, I might have to say Utah could be the last place on Earth I would think that would be.
Oh, it's huge with the Mormons. It's huge with the
No,
Mormons.
Listen, yeah.
It's not a Utah thing. It is such a Utah thing. And the culture here is just exploding. It's really a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I gotta say, is striking to me, right? So walk me into that a second. What do you think fosters that? Like, why Utah?
So so of course, Utah is dominated by Mormons, colonized by Mormons. It's a high demand religion. And those of us who were in it, and I have Mormon pioneer ancestry. I mean, I go all the way back. And those of us who were in it and like whole heart and mind in it, when we realize, when our shelf breaks, we're like, oh, it was everything. I mean, it was my social connections. It was my familial connections.
Sure.
It was my identity in many, many ways. And all of that disintegrates. And you're looking around going, I don't know how to be a human. I don't know how to be an adult. And so we find our way to therapy often. And then through therapy, many of us are finding psychedelics. And the other thing about Mormons is we're all really connected. So one person has some healing and suddenly we're bearing testimony of it to our friends and family. And it just moves.
Hey, Sarah, you can just say pass to this, but what got you out of it, I guess?
Yeah, it's a fine story. To me, it's kind of boring. Maybe it's interesting to people. So,
well, you have, everybody's. I feel like you're born into a religion, right? Like you don't really go shopping for that, right? It's not like, hey, you're old enough to think for yourself. Right. It's kind of like, especially in this country, even politics. It's like, well, your parents were this, so chances are you're going to be that. But we never really question why. So it's always an interesting question for me, at least, with like what was the frame in your mind that changed, that allowed that to happen. And I don't think it's negative. I'm not saying it's positive.
Yeah. So for me, there was something rolling around in my brain that Mormon leadership would say. They would say, all of it's true or none of it's true. Like you can't cherry pick. You can't pick the things you like and the things you don't. And that's their way of saying all of it's true and you have to follow us. And so that was just in my brain, but things were starting to get questionable. Like I have 4 children, 3 girls and a boy. And the way my daughters were being treated versus the way my son was being treated. For me, when it was happening to me as a youth, I was like, oh, this is just the way it is. And when it was happening to my kids, I was like, whoa,
yeah,
I don't like this disparity.
Yeah.
I had a leader in our neighborhoods. It's the bishop. He's in charge. He was a dear friend. I still love him to this day. And he got arrested. And he went to prison for some white collar crimes. And it was amazing the difference that my neighbors, the way they spoke about him and this situation, about loving him and forgiveness. And then the minute he was gone, they scattered. I mean, it was just like cockroaches, and left his wife with 5 children, one of them an infant. She lost her house and she just had no support from the church. And I just was like, oh, this part's not true. Well, then if all of it's true or none of it's true. And it just was like dominoes. It happened like in 2 days.
Well, that's
Wow.
I do think that's interesting, and I think it's very telling that, like, you know, literally in their dogma, they're saying all of it's true or none of it's true. Yeah.
But it is funny. I went to my husband thinking this was going to be this, you know, big moment between us. And I said, I think I don't believe anymore. And we built our entire marriage, our entire life around the Mormon church. And he was like, oh, I haven't believed for like 10 years. And
oh my God,
that's funny.
That is awesome. That is great, though. I mean, at least you had a you know, the partnership was still strong. Yeah.
Yeah. So we left together, and our kids followed, and it's been great. It's been really great for our family.
Oh,
I'm
that's
glad
great.
to hear that.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. Tom and I have actually talked to a few people on this show that have left, you know, sort of all-encompassing religions like that. And I grew up K through 12 Catholic school kid, and by no stretch of the imagination was it anywhere what you're describing. But Catholics seem to want to give you guys a run for your money a little bit. They seem to be.
It depends.
You know, like,
there are plenty of what we call ENC Catholics out there.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
they
yeah,
show
yeah.
up on church on Easter and Christmas, and that's it.
Yeah, but you know what? I was at church every, you know, a lot, but with school, because we did it as a part of school, and like there's a whole, you know, we had a religion class, 8 periods of academic instruction. One of them was always religion, right? So. And so, like, look, it was a thing, and then it was, and then like around, I guess, my junior or senior year of high school, where I was like, you know, looks like I was going to art school, like creative inquisition was sort of part of the rigor of that discipline, and all of a sudden, when you start asking any more than 0 questions, all of it falls apart pretty quickly, and it was like. And it wasn't just like casually falling apart. It was like a full collapse. Like, and my parents, my dad's kind of an atheist. My mom was sort of like, well, I feel guilty enough that I should still believe in it, but I haven't been to church in 20 years. My grandparents were like horrified, but I'm just like, yeah, this is not going to work out.
Not
right?
working.
But I didn't have to go up against, like, to your earlier point about, like, that's your community, it's your social structure, it's your familial structure.
I mean, we're mixed in with a very varied population. I mean, I used to joke that you can't tell who the Italians or the Jewish people are in my neighborhood.
Right.
I mean, we all had gaudy furniture and mirrors with gold trim and shit like that.
And like, you know what, and it's, my dad and I got into a conversation years ago about when people started coming out of the closet, like, and he was like, you know, I just don't understand. And I was like, well, you know, imagine how difficult anything where you're going up against an entire ecosystem that's against that.
Yeah, the whole society.
Right, like it's not just like a little bit. Yeah, it's everybody around you saying, "What the fuck is wrong with you, you crazy person?" Right, like that is.
Yeah.
I think what Matt and I are saying is you know, congratulations on on leaving the church. We know it probably wasn't easy.
Yeah, it was not easy.
I will say though, Matt, when we're in this valley, Salt Lake Valley, it's amazing when people are in ceremony with plant medicine. Oh dear.
No, you're good.
No, don't worry about it. Roll with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You still have sunlight.
For a little bit. When we're in ceremony and people are dealing with religious trauma, it's Mormons first, it's Catholics second.
No, that's funny. Yeah, that's not shocking at all.
Believe me, I've got 2 people I give a discount to at my office. One of them is a 90-year-old Italian priest.
Yeah,
and the other one is the guy the 90-year-old Italian priest asked me to give a discount to.
That's hilarious. Yeah,
I'm like, I guess I gotta. I mean, like the little Italian guy said it. He's got the collar. What am I gonna do?
Yeah. And
what little bit hasn't died.
And what I find actually, like, as probably the most breathtaking on-ramp to what I anticipate to be a great conversation about this is that how absolutely poetic is it that the ultimate testifiers of the power of this medicine and whole thought process by extension is a bunch of fucking religious zealots. Like,
That's
is that
what it
not
is.
crazy?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that not like the ultimate in funny to you? I mean, come on, man. I mean,
Yeah, outside of culturally, like Denver or Oregon, where it's just in the water,
totally.
it's just everywhere.
It probably is in the water, Sarah.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Two of the most active hotbeds in the United States are Hasidic Jews in New York and Mormons in Utah.
So I have a tattoo artist friend that said the number of Hasidic Jews he actually has tattooed is insane. And he goes, look, they come in with the long johns on and they never take them off. Nobody ever knows, but yeah, they got tattoos.
Yeah,
right?
that's
and,
funny.
And it's the same religious trauma or a similar religious trauma, and they're finding the same kind of healing. So yeah, these psychedelics are pretty amazing.
So let's use that. Let's just jump off the diving board here because
Yeah.
that's a perfect springboard.
Let's go.
Right? So what I love about the position that Tom and I sit in with this show is we've actually, and I don't want to speak for Tom. I think I do, but in this case, but I don't want.
I look, man, we're like 95% incoherence most times.
We've been doing the show a couple years. Tonight's our 111th episode. And
it's a palindrome.
And out of 111 episodes, if the day before we did our first one, had you asked me to define trauma, I would have more or less described it to an acute activity with a diagnosable description and a prescriptive outcome of what to do. Like, take 2 of these, call me in the morning.
Right.
Why? Because I was an idiot, just like everybody else. And trauma, the word trauma, as we are kind of absorb it in our culture, doesn't mean what it actually means. It describes a narrow sliver of what trauma could be. And I cannot tell you, every episode we have, there's a practitioner, a spiritual person, a whatever,
a
clinician,
thought leader, whatever you want to call them. Yeah.
And all of them deal with calculus of different types of trauma with different expressions and different ways of healing it. And a lot of that healing, we're finding out that psychedelics just kind of does all of those things natural.
It's amazing.
Who fucking knew? Everyone who lived before us, apparently.
It's funny because Matt has said this before, right? Like we did our little intro and he said, give us sound bites. And I said, they told us not to do drugs. Now they're telling us to do drugs. And I mean, we're that just say no. We had some people on that are slightly after us that are that dare generation. And
that was me.
Yeah. It is amazing. And I think it comes down to that indoctrination across the board, right? If we start opening our minds and we actually start critical thinking. And I think that's what a lot of psychedelics do, right? They give us that space to open our brain.
Yes.
And we start questioning things. And
I was the dare representative at my school.
Of course you were.
I got scholarships, went to programs, and would come back and teach. I mean,
of course. Of course you are.
Are we listed as an NC-17 show on Spotify? Yeah. Are we going to convert some kids? Are we?
Yeah.
Is the
we do actually. We have the designator on Apple that's only not for kids, expressly.
Okay,
expressly not for kids.
Good. Good.
Well, that's a whole topic if you want to dive into it. But let's.
Well, I'm going to ask you about the kids and your usage. Okay. Let's say.
Well, we have this problem right now. Tom and I live in Maryland, and I own headshop.com, and we have 65,000 SKUs of dildos and bombs.
Oh, okay.
And
don't get them confused.
And my kids, and some of them are both, just to let you know, right?
I was going to say,
it's a multi-tool.
Some of them are tough, multifaceted. But here's the thing: how do you hide or have any narrative against this when your entire office is filled with this shit? And my kids have seen it since they were born. I'm like, okay, look, guys, I'm just going to tell you, if I have to speak against this, that's kind of impossible. My daughter came home from school one time. I almost lost my shit, actually. This is the one thing I almost flew into off the handle at a teacher. Their assignment was write a report on why one of the following things is bad: caffeine, tobacco, and alcohol. Or I'm sorry, caffeine, marijuana, and alcohol. I was like, who the fuck told you to write that?
That sounds like a country western song. That sounds like an old country western song.
I was like rolling up my sleeves. I'm like, who do I have to punch in the face for giving you this assignment? This is the worst. And
it's
I was
a
like,
moral judgment, and we shouldn't be doing
well,
that.
yeah. Look, they did the don't no marijuana talk at my kids' school, and my daughter comes home and she's like, "Look, my friend says her uncle buys her vape pens," and I'm like, "All right, that's fucked up."
Yeah,
because she's 12,
right?
but I can't sit here and say that one, as an adult, you can't use them or shouldn't use them. I these are compounds; they're neutral. It depends on how we use them, our intention, and why we're doing it. That really it leads to different outcomes.
Absolutely, and anything we do, you can overdo.
Yeah.
Sure.
So you just, it's the thing we really emphasize in our community is safety first.
Mm-hmm.
And safety, is it safety from the cops? Is it safety from other systems? Is it safety because of your race? Is it safety on how you're using the medicine? Is it, you're setting the setting, you're all of the things. There's so many ways you can and should be safe with these medicines. And if you're being safe, there's so many ways for healing and fun and creativity and spirituality.
Mm-hmm. So in a place like Utah that has like a religious, headwind for sure, right? What are the legalities of that there? Is psilocybin legal there, MDMA, or any of the stuff that you might use
so
from
much
a compound?
Like across the 50 states, and there's no uniformity.
So those are some good questions. The short answer is our legislature legalized some psychedelics.
Okay.
Psilocybin and MDMA are two of them.
Okay.
Wow, MDMA.
Use within our medical systems. So we have a few medical systems, two of them really strong. And those two have been given permission to use these things therapeutically. So that's the short answer. The longer answer is we also have Huntsman Mental Health in our state, and they are doing a lot of trials. So there are lots of people that are being introduced.
They're more of a research institution.
Research-based.
I see.
The killer answer, the funnest answer, is I co-founded a mushroom church with my husband, who was in the legislature. He's a lawyer, and he was in the House for 8 years as a total Republican. And then he was in the Senate for 8 years. I mean, we were a political family. That was the family sport.
Oh my God, the story just gets better and better.
And he's super interesting. You guys would love him. But what we found when you're trying to problem solve, you're looking in your toolbox. What's been your experience in life? And one of the things he realized after we discovered psychedelics and we wanted other people to have access is he said the strongest argument we're going to have, he said, we're having the most spiritual experiences of our life. This is religion. We need to start a religion so that we can have the religious protections. And I said, well, your second wife is really going to love that idea.
Yeah.
And we really spent a lot of time talking it through and trying to find other avenues. And I realized, this is the avenue. And so we have a strong RFRA law in the country, but the Utah legislature just passed the strongest RFRA law in the country that happens on a state-by-state basis. And so we have more protections in Utah for our religious use of these medicines or sacraments than anybody else in the country.
That
Wow.
is that the Religious Freedom Act or something? I forget what the exact
Freedom Restoration Act.
Restoration Act. Yeah,
it's always funny to me because and I look, I joined the Satanic Temple. It was $25.
Yep.
I thought it was protecting people.
Yep.
And I bought the fucking t-shirt, I bought the stickers, I bought all of it. And it is so funny that like weaponizing, I mean, you've said so many words I like. We can get into that later. But like weaponizing the laws as they were to oppress, to actually liberate, is one of the greatest things in the world. You know, hey, if you're going to do that, we got to do this. You said we're doing that. You know, and if you're gonna make it so we can't do that, they can't do that either. You know, and that's you know, sometimes it's a little petty, but it's joyous.
I don't think it's petty. I think
I do it more to like be a dick.
I mean,
then we're going to play by those rules.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
This part, well, one of the fun parts is my husband became an expert on RFRA because he was running LGBTQ legislation for employment and housing protections, and the Mormon Church kept using RFRA to try and shut all that down. So my husband he had to become an expert.
Sure.
And so then he was able to use that same logic on this kind of use. And it's been an amazing ride, an amazing 5 years while we've been doing this.
So first of all,
is he still Republican?
Yeah.
No.
No.
He's probably moved beyond the two-party system too, right?
Yeah. He has. He's gone out of politics because he could see this wave coming, and he said, I'm not doing this anymore.
No, for sure. I mean, you know, and it's one of those things, like, full disclosure, I mean, I'm a very vocal advocate of microdosing. I feel like it's changed my life in ways that continue to unfold daily. Like, I can't say enough good about it. And when I talk to anybody who's endorsing this or researching it or helping spread like sort of like responsible use of it, like I just get such a hard on to have a conversation about it, because I'm like, dude, this is fucking amazing. Like, why is everybody, because once you sort of see it, you can't unsee it, right? And it's like, fuck, why won't you just give it a shot to see? Because there's really just no, Tom and I have said this a million times on the show. Like, we are, one thing that brought us together is Tom and I will roll any dice that you want us to roll. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't have a lot of harmful bad side and it's got nothing but upside.
You tell me, right? No one has ever died of a psychedelic and you guys are so anti it.
No, it doesn't. Right. It doesn't make any sense at all. And like, listen, I'm one of those people. I mean, there's a little tiny piece of me every time I microdose, even though it's literally like, you know, fractions of fraction. Really. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be tripping balls. They're like, no, you're not going to do any of that. Oh. Like, what? But it's that like Catholic school kid in my brain that's like,
guilt.
Don't do it.
It's guilt.
Don't do it. You know, and
I've broken through that.
It's fucking illogical.
I don't feel that at all when I'm taking anything anymore. So
you know what?
I'm able to break free from that.
I listen, I don't, but I do. Like, there's like a drop of me in the background. Sure. You know, a microdose, if you will, of sentiment.
Microdose
of sentiment.
A microdose of Catholic shame.
Yeah, there's just a microdose of Catholic shame in the background. Yeah, that's it. But, you know, I mean, aside from that, like, it's kind of like it's all gravy kind of situation, man, you know. So the people that come to your church, like, talk to me about this. Is it, I mean, are we mostly?
Yeah, well, hold on, back it up. Like, let's talk about the whole sacraments and these kind of things.
Sure.
Yeah, let's do that.
I mean, we're going to get to all of it. So
walk us through your temple.
The church is called the Divine Assembly. You can find us at you have to put thedivineassembly.org. And it might come up if you put in Mushroom Church. There are a few out there, but we were one of the first. Not the first, I'll acknowledge that. But we are growing as organically as we can. We're not trying to be huge. We're not, we're just trying to create community for people. So more than anything, we have one tenet, which is that each individual can commune with the divine and receive guidance.
Simple.
That's all. We have that in place so that there are no gatekeepers, right? No one is telling you what the medicine wants from you. No one's telling you what God wants. No one's telling you. You get to decide what that is. You have that opportunity to commune with the divine, and you get to decide what the divine is. That can look a lot of different ways, as we know, and each individual gets to decide what that is for them. And if you'll notice in that tenet, we don't talk about plant medicine. We have a number of people who have joined our community that don't take plant medicine. And that always surprises me. Someone will be coming for 2.5 years and he'll tell me, so I think this weekend I'm going to take mushrooms for the first time. And I'm thinking, the first time?
First time. Dude, you've been here every week for 2 years.
So, and I will say, we don't distribute medicine. All of our events are sober, but what we're trying to do is promote in-home worship. It is small group worship. So when you come to our events, you're meeting growers, so you can find safe places to purchase. You're learning how to grow. We sell grow kits and we help people grow because we think the safest way to obtain medicine is watching it grow yourself.
Sure.
We want people. There are always guides there that will talk to you about, different price points and what you're looking for, so that every individual can have the opportunity they want and can worship in a way that feels safe and healthy. But it's not crazy. We'll get 100 people every Sunday. And like I said, those are sober meetings and people are just finding each other. And like me, they all lost their community. And so they're looking for something. And we're middle-aged. I mean, we have some youth, but we're middle-aged. Half of us are divorced and we kind of look like nerds and,
I
neurospicy.
I think I just found my new church.
Yeah. Neurospicy.
A wonderful group of people.
And you know what? Like, honestly, I know the real purpose of religion was to control people, poor people. I get that. But like, if you think about it in the not so like I hate the world fashion, like religion should be about community, right?
It should be.
And like that really is what, the 90-year-old Italian church in Hoboken down the street when I lived there, like those people have been going to that church for 75 years. Like that's a community, right? Like, and like, that's what it should be. But like, I feel like, that sort of got lost in the.
You want people to help take care of you when you're sick. You want people to grieve you when you die. You want people to celebrate when your babies are born. That's, when you don't have that, because you've literally lost your religion. It's nice to have a place where you can recreate a beautiful community.
And I think there's an interesting thing with your church that's certainly a religiously atypical, which is separating the divine from the convention, right?
Yeah.
Like, so you're not actually drinking the blood and body kind of thing, in the spot, or saying the prayer in the spot while you're intoxicated, like it's going, like, hey, we're going to meet here. And then you're going to go do that somewhere else, right?
Yeah. Like, I personally like the fact that you don't have the dude in the dress shaming the people of the LGBTQ community.
There is that.
like, no, you have to do it this way.
We had a lot of that growing up. We're not going to include that in our life right now.
I had a friend of mine from grammar school, unfortunately die really young of a brain tumor, and we all met at our Catholic church for his funeral, and he was gay, And his boyfriend at the time, long-term boyfriend, I think they lived together, was up on the pulpit and talking about his departed partner. And he's like looking around. He's like, I feel a little strange talking in this environment, just given the circumstances.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, this was 25 years ago or 20 years. You know what I mean? Like, it was a minute ago. So, like, small town in, California, gay kid's funeral. Like, it wasn't exactly like the place to be open in public about that. He's kind of like, I don't know how. Like,
that's brave though, man.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, no, but it was like one of those things where, like, I'm not really sure what to say here because this is a little awkward. I shouldn't be talking about this in this particular venue.
Yeah, they won't bury him in the cemetery or some shit like that, right?
It was just one of those weird things. But, like, that was, like, I dare I say normal back then, right? Like, nobody, you know.
That's what we were doing.
And it is funny, though. Like, I've had this conversation with a few people. Like, I mean, would psychedelics have the space to flourish that it does now if we weren't in parallel in a sort of an era of expanding consciousness outside of psychedelics, right? Like, you now have 15 versions of gender, right? Like
Right.
that wasn't a thing, right?
Right.
Like,
The rules are broken.
yeah, the rules are all off from what we had. So, like, in a neurally expansive environment that we are in, like, isn't that sort of prime pickings for psychedelics, right? Like, it's sort of
mental health. It's we're normalizing mental health. We're normalizing therapy. We're normalizing other modalities.
Right.
You know, can you imagine anyone talking about EMDR? Well, if I had heard anyone talking about that growing up, I'd be like, crazy. That's hocus pocus.
Sure.
And but having done it, I love it.
You even said neurospicy, and I remember, like, I literally said today, like, I was one of the ones that didn't get medicated because we didn't talk about that, right? Like, keep your shit together, or else they're gonna put you on drugs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then that kid is like snorting said drugs at a party.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, wait a minute, did you just snort Adderall?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Yes, I did.
Why? I got a little script for it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
this is
totally.
legal, but everything else is bad.
And you know what? Like, all those, what's that? I'm super old and irrelevant. What's the what are those YouTube videos of people like whispering and scratching on velvet?
Dude, don't fuck with the ASMR. I love the ASMR.
Yeah.
I love the ASMR.
So,
except
like,
when they eat. I don't like that. But
25 years ago, if someone said, listen to this recording of some person scratching leather, you'd be like, what is wrong with you, man? Like, are you insane? Like, nobody would be like, ooh, that sounds real soothing.
They were like, you guys remember Bob Ross? Check this out.
My God. I was like, my kids came home and started telling me about that. I'm like, what the hell? Are you fucking with me? Like, is this some kind of joke?
Oh, man. My wife was like, what are you watching? Every night you put on your headphones and then you just go to sleep. And she's like, oh, you're watching Hot Chicks. And I'm like, I'm not even looking at the fucking phone.
Yeah.
She's like, well, there's this beautiful woman. I'm like, she's not even speaking English. I don't know what she's saying. I'm not looking at it. And it's like,
she's breathing heavily on tissue paper, and somehow I love it.
She is tapping against a box. And for some reason, I just fall asleep.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I don't know why these things work. And my past self would have been cynical. You know, if it didn't come to me through the church, I would have questioned it and wondered if it was of Satan. But I'm doing it going, oh, how does this work? I don't know, but it works. And why am I going to question it? Why am I going to say, no, I don't want good sleep? I don't want to sleep quickly.
So that those awkward adolescent years between your Mormon life and your mushroom church life, like how did we make that transition? You certainly didn't jump into an acid trip out of the Mormon church one day.
He didn't quick. I left the church in, I'm going to say 2012, and had my first psychedelic experience in 2017.
Okay, so that's that's still a number of years in between there.
Look, it didn't take her 20. You know, it wasn't.
No, but I'm like, so like, did we sort of gently warm up to this, or did someone just throw a hit of acid down your throat at a party and said, "Hey, have fun"?
I had friends who were doing ayahuasca.
Mm.
And so my husband asked me, I remember we were on a trip in Boston, and I remember the restaurant we were sitting in, and he said, "Would you ever do ayahuasca?" And, because we were hearing such good things from our friends, like 5 years of therapy in one night. And
Yeah, right.
and if nothing else, I like to move quick. And I'd been in therapy for a few years, and I was like, this, it's working, but it's slow.
Yeah.
So I right there at the table, I start Googling, ayahuasca death, ayahuasca break my brain, ayahuasca safe, all of the things we all Googled. And the only negative things I was reading were negative reviews because out of a resort in Peru where room service didn't come fast enough.
Yeah.
Or, and I'm like, okay, well, that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
when I could see there was nothing, I couldn't find any research saying this was dangerous. I was like, yeah, I'll try it. So that was in November. And by January, we were in an ayahuasca ceremony, just the two of us. We had a guide, and the two of us, we were in Amsterdam. And well, let me back up half a step. So before we went on this trip, I went to my therapist, who was a Mormon leader, but I wasn't ready yet to change therapists. So, and he was super open with all of my transitions that I was in, with faith and other things. So I said, I think I might try ayahuasca. He said, okay, I'll look it up, and we can, we'll see. I'll catch you when you're done. But coincidentally, I walked into his office about 2 weeks before our trip, and I said, all right, Bruce, I'm bored to death of these same topics that we keep going over in therapy. So I have made a list of 6 things. We're going to cover all of them, and we're just going to be done with them today. And he was like, well, Sarah, that's not how therapy works. And I had the worst therapy session of my existence. I was so angry at him. I was so done with this. Then 2 weeks later, we're in Amsterdam, and I was very skeptical of all of this. So we take the ayahuasca, and my husband just settles in, and he just falls into it, and immediately he's in it. And I sat against the wall with my arms folded, and what is happening? And I had my foot hard on the brakes. So, the guide would come over and check with me, and I'm like, nope, I don't feel anything. This is dumb. And so I'm taking 2, 3, what am I saying?
Drinks, yeah. I mean, basically, it's a glass of ayahuasca they give you, right?
This is what I was, and I just was feeling nothing. And
then it all catches up with her, and she's like tripping
like that.
Yeah,
I've had shaman tell me don't talk bad about her because she will show you some shit.
So I'm truly sitting across the room watching him with the guides doing eagle feathers and chimes and and I'm just going, what has happened in my life that this is where I am? It has led me here. I'm really not happy. So the guide says to me, it's about 2:00. Steve has come out of it. My husband's come out of it. And he says, and we're just going to sleep there for a few more hours before the buses start running in Amsterdam. And the guide says to me, it's still in your body. Let it do its work. And I'm like, sure. And so I go to sleep. And as I'm coming out of it, like 5 a.m, that space between sleep and awake, if I was not an atheist who started a church, I would have thought I was talking to God. I believe I was talking to another part of my brain, but this voice was saying, okay, I'm here. What do you want to know? And I said, oh, they have a list. And I pulled out in my head, I pulled out this list of 6 things that I had been paralyzed in therapy over. And we went down one at a time. And one of them, it was look at it this way. I mean, a completely different way to look at this thing that had just stopped me in my tracks. And it was like, oh, amazing. And the next thing, stick a pin in that. You don't need to worry about that one right now. And then the third one, and then the fourth one, and all the way down till I was like, okay, I'm done. And I woke Steve up and I said, we can go now. Buses are running. And I had my time.
Got what I needed.
And it was amazing. And my therapist, Bruce, took all of my insights and he integrated it into my therapy for the next year with EMDR, with talk therapy, with all these other things, all these other modalities. He took it seriously, never having touched psychedelics and not going to touch psychedelics, but he took it seriously enough that these were insights for me. And so, okay, let's go through them. That's was great. An amazing experience.
That's great that you had a therapist too that was open to that, because a lot of times, if practitioners, if they don't know something or they're not familiar with it, that's I'm not your person,
Right?
Yeah. And actually, I had a therapist who was not receptive to the microdosing idea.
Really too bad.
And yeah, it was a little weird because I didn't really think that would be possible, because I would think that like your sort of mission, if you were a mental health therapist, would be to sort of keep a very open mind to anything that moves the needle with respect to mental health. And I don't think that that's really true. So it is. I agree with Tom. It's nice that you had somebody to sort of walk through that. Although the smuggest in me would have been like mic drop on the therapist. Fuck you. I told you. I told you.
I've been coming to you for years. I went to Amsterdam for one night.
One night. And
one night in Amsterdam. I think I've seen that movie.
He was floored. He could not believe the insights I came back with.
Yeah, and he's like, damn.
If there's a therapist listening who is wondering, if that therapist is open to insights coming from a podcast they're listening to, or a book they read, or talking to their sister, insights can come from a million places.
Sure.
Just be open to the idea that insights for this person came through this experience. You don't have to care whether it's true or not. For whatever reason, this person felt an insight and needs to talk it through. That's all the therapist has to do, is just take it seriously.
You know what? Matt has tried, like he actually, like, of all the things we've done, I've been looking at this thing, and now they call it the Shiva system, and I actually read a book by the guy and everything, and I was like, Matt, I'm going to get this God helmet. I'm going to put it on, and Matt goes, did you see the disclaimer?
Yeah.
Like, that was the first time he's ever said that to me. But really, this guy wrote this book, and he it was all about deja vu and reincarnation as a form of passing genetic information along, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel every generation. Brilliantly written by clearly an extremely smart man. But at the end of the day, he goes, look, I'm an atheist that prays. And he and he gave this information like, look, I don't know if I'm talking to me, I don't know if I'm talking to God, but I get something out of it.
Right.
And that at the end of the day is I have a positive outcome because of it.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's real.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know what? I literally tonight at another event right before the show, I had this conversation. I didn't go.
I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, I had. Yeah, so I was at an event that Tom and I usually go to together, and somebody was asking. I said, somebody all of my Republican friends, when I say things like I put an intention into the universe and it came back and gave me this, like they all kind of roll their eyes.
Roll their eyes, of course.
But they'll give you thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And what I said, we were talking, and I said, what's funny about that? I don't think the universe necessarily doesn't give everybody what they're asking for. I think that most people aren't fucking paying attention to anything, least of all the boomerang that comes back from the universe. I think that if anybody puts intention into the universe, it's quantum mechanics that it'll come back to you. I just don't think that means you have to notice when it hits you in the face and slides off and goes right by you. right? Like it doesn't. And I think people who are jumping into the psychedelic wading pool, at least in my experience, and I'd love to get this, so back to the demographic question about the church a little bit, like the people I know who have gone on one journey have gone on 10, right? Like it's not usually like a one and done situation, right? Like it's like,
rarely.
Oh, well, that was game changing. We should probably do that again. It'd be like having sex and being like, yeah, that was cool, but I don't need to do that again.
That was great. No thanks.
Yeah. You're like, yeah, right. Yeah, like, or we could just do that a lot more too. That's the other option.
Let's do this all the time, in fact.
Right. And I feel like for me personally, that is actually never truer words than this, because it gets to the point now where I've got a lot of friends that actually use this more recreationally than I do. And I really try not to be judgy about it, but I'm judgy about it because without getting too douchey about it, like I don't want to say like respect the sacrament and all this stuff. Not to say that that's always douchey, but like there's a lot of people that take that a little too far and like they get real like sanctimonious about it, and like I don't love that.
Right.
But I do think that you have to approach this with above a modicum of reverence, because it can smack you in the face in a rather unpleasant way also, right? Like it's not I don't know that this is recreation for me, is my point, right? Like it's like
there's an intention with use.
Yeah, correct. Right.
So I really fought the idea that these medicines should be fun, could be fun. My thought was it's spiritual and or it's healing. And then the first time I sat with one of my children, it was during COVID. My oldest daughter, she was probably 25, 26 at the time.
All right, Sarah, and I was actually going to ask you about that. What do your kids think of this? And I'm glad you're telling this.
So she was my oldest, and out of 4, and those oldest kids, they're just our guinea pigs.
Sure.
Yeah. It's so hard to be good parents that we overdo. And that for sure happened with her. And she loves me. I love her. And we talk very regularly, but there was some healing that needed to happen. I was too harsh with her. I was too demanding. I was too all the things. And we took a sizable dose. Well, it was probably 2. We were talking about it recently. It was 2 to 3 grams. And
psilocybin, correct?
Psilocybin. Okay. And
that's enough to get your engine moving. Trust me.
Yeah. We're not shocked.
And full mushroom or pure psilocybin?
I always do a lemon tech.
Okay.
Well, it's a little shot, like a tea. And as we dropped in, we started giggling. We started laughing. And we laughed for 5 hours.
That's great.
That sounds painful, actually.
It was perfect. I came out of it and went, oh, that is the healing she and I needed. Because we were talking about some heavy things and laughing through it all instead of having another reaction, which could have been painful or sad.
Sure.
And I went, oh, now I understand. Sometimes it is playful. Sometimes it is creative. And I'm going to stop making judgments about other people, because so my only judgment is around safety. If your friends, Matt, are being safe, then you got to make your judgments. I'm going to say
you're not wrong.
Sloppy, then I have a problem.
It's not that they're not safe. I mean, we know that the safety factor on these things is pretty high. I mean, you have to be doing Herculean amounts to get unsafe, like from a dosage.
Walking into traffic.
Yeah, no, even then, that set and setting component, make sure you're in a safe setting. Yeah.
But like, I guess what I really mean to say though is I do technology for a living. So occupational hazard efficiency is sort of like a North Star, right? Like you don't want to write inefficient code, right? And so I look at it like this. I'm like, look, you have an awesome experience that's being handed to you. You have a privilege of doing it.
Yeah.
You have the privilege of being able to do it. And largely what that means is you've got the money to buy it, the network to know where to buy it. You've got the money to have a nice setting to do it in that's safe and provide and ample, and you're going to do it to watch like Sunday football and I'm like, okay, well, that's, I guess, something. I mean, it's not, you're not hurting anybody, but like, it's a squandered experience. And like, more to the point, you're not integrating any growth in that. That's just
the issue.
Correct. Like you're not. And again, I mean, look, if I really wanted to just let my hair down and be a dope, like there's plenty of things that I could do. I can go drink keg beer with my buddies. I can go, I could watch that game from a sports bar, right? And do shots of Jameson with beer backs. Like, I mean, there's all these things I could do to be, different, but like, I guess I don't have the relationship with these compounds that is like whimsical. Like to me, it's like exploratory, I guess is the best way of putting it, right? Like I'm just like, these are sort of gateways for me to present a new reality for whatever reason I'm doing it.
So I would offer this, right? There's a book called Power versus Force, right? Where they talk about this evolution of consciousness as a logarithmic scale. Wow, that sounds fucking nerdy as shit.
Yeah, well.
But anyway, I fell out of love with him because he was talking about how right Bill O'Reilly is. But anyway, I'm like, you mean the guy that like paid hush money for somebody he sexually assaulted? Yeah, and fuck him if he listens. I don't think he does. I'm pretty sure he doesn't. Anyway, like he was talking about this scale, right? So if you're below a certain level on this logarithmic scale, we're not coming from a place of love. We're coming from a place of fear. Yeah. And there's this level where like maybe you're putting a dent in that wall. Maybe you can't get through it. And your level of operation is literally, I'm going to get fucked up with the boys because that's about where I'm at. And that's about how far I can reach, right? Like you don't, the potential for somebody who's a little bit more open-minded, the potential for somebody whose heart is open more is going to go further, not because they're better. It's because they have that potential innate into them.
Sure. No, and I get it.
When I guide people, I say 5% is preparation, 5% is a journey, 90% is the integration.
Sure.
If you're not doing real integration, you're just getting stoned, which can be a lot of fun. But you just need to know you're not doing life-changing anything if you don't do the work afterwards where you change your life, right? It's not just, woo, I did it, now my life's changed. You get the impressions and you get the knowledge of how to change your life and what to do. If you don't do that work,
then
you were just the same. And what happens is people fall into a depression because they have these insights and they think they see what life could be, and then nothing changes and they get very, very sad.
Yeah, that I can see that.
That's the danger. That's one of the problems with some of the ways some of your friends might be doing it. And I don't know them, so I don't know.
Well, no,
you have to be cautious of that.
So
I agree. Yeah. Oh. No. Does your church have like are you guys modality specific, or are you just sort of psychedelics in general?
We say mushroom church, but we have everybody write their own creed, like their personal scripture. And so people have will list different things. Some people don't list anything at all, or generally psychedelics, but we believe these creeds and our religion will protect people. And we've seen it happen in Utah. We've had agencies, we've had systems come after people. And with our website, with their membership cards, with their creeds, most of them are getting out of, they're seeing these agencies step back.
Hey, Sarah.
I was actually talking more about like mushrooms, LSD, MDMA, ketamine.
And I was my long way to say it's not specific.
It's not. Okay.
Each person gets to decide.
I see. Okay.
Yeah,
Could someone join your church out of state, understanding that the laws are different from state to state?
Every state in the country is joined our church.
I think what Tom's saying is, where can he email the membership
What
application?
website do I go to right now and fill out the application?
It will take you less than 3 minutes. And
Oh my God.
That is my favorite kind of
That's my favorite kind of application.
You're going to give us your email.
Oh, man.
That's it. And then we have the optional, if people want a membership card, we say that shows another level of your participation, right?
Sure.
And your devotion.
Spoiler alert, Tom's definitely getting the card.
Look, man, I got the card. There, I'm a Brahmin in the Universal Life Church right there. The Satanic Temple one is over there.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. I went, I bought the T-shirt, the stickers.
Yeah.
What do you want?
We've been waiting for you, Tom.
Look, I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm sold. I don't even need to do drugs for that.
Yeah.
I can just show up. I love that.
That's pretty amazing.
So Sarah, let's kind of I could literally do this all night, but I do want to get to the event, because I definitely want to hear everything about this. But is this event, walk us into it, but I guess my starter question is this sort of like an annual sort of awakening type project that you go through, or like what's the sort of intention of this?
Yeah, we've been doing Psychedelics in the Beehive. This will actually be year number 6, but in different iterations. First 2 years were online. It was COVID, and we were doing that online. The next 3 years were in person. We had 50 people, then 300 people. Last year we had 1,500 people.
Holy shit!
Paul Stamos came to speak. It was really beautiful.
Wow.
Labuche was there, and was from Shakruna. She's amazing.
Okay.
And among many others. But during that event that happened in January, I was sitting back watching, going, we shouldn't be a conference. We need to be a festival. We need all of the elements that I keep talking about: spirituality, healing, and some fun and some creativity. So this year we've morphed one more time, and we are going to be in more than 20 venues. So your wristband will get you into all of these venues, where we're going to have a real mix of things. We will have speakers. We're going to have some really great music. A lot of creative things, the kinds of things you see in a summer festival, but we're just bringing it indoors. And one of the fun things is we're on the first week of the Sundance Film Festival. So people have started calling us Psychedelic Sundance, which I think is kind of cool.
That's fantastic.
But anybody who comes to town, if you be a part of our festival for a few days, and then you can head up the mountain and be a part of Sundance if that's appealing to people.
Wow.
So it's that close, huh?
It's 30 minutes away.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
In fact, one of the venues that's in the valley is like, I can't use it, which I wanted to, because it's right in our vicinity. It's right there. Did
I hear? I think I had spoken to one of your associates before the show about you guys are in a mall or something. Like there was like
we're taking up a lot of space in the mall, but then it's an outdoor walking mall. So we have all these spots, and there's a music venue there that's already there. There's a comedy venue there that's already there. Movie theaters already there.
That's great.
And we're just taking advantage of all of them. And then any of their open retail space we're activating. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Which I love. I love that you guys are sort of upcycling the space like that.
Right.
But so what else can I expect to see there? Is it like content? Is it ceremony? Like what am I looking at?
So the first 2 days, Friday and Saturdays, this is January 24th through 26th. The first 2 days are all of the things you just said. We're showing movies. We're, like I said, comedians, music. East Forest, who does a lot of medicine music, he's one of our featured performers, and so that's going to be fun.
Love it.
But yes, and it's family friendly until 6 p.m. So families,
kids get the hell out after 6.
Yeah.
I don't want to babysit anyone. So that's going to be really lovely to have that on Friday and Saturday. And then on Sunday, we're encouraging people. We're going to have a list of guides. And if you want to have a personal worship,
Wow.
some of it is being offered sober, some of it is not. But as I stated earlier, we have some of the strongest worship protections in the country. So if that's something people are after, here are some guides that we know and like, and you can talk to one of them and see if what they're offering is a good fit for you.
Yeah, and I haven't even really talked to Tom about it, but one of the things I was talking about with your associate is doing a show from the venue.
We'd
And I
love
was
that.
like,
We're gonna fly out.
I was like,
you for sure.
yeah, I was like, that would be cool to do sort of an interview series out there because I mean, I got to imagine there's about 7,000 conversations worth having, and that
Definitely.
like, I mean that. I mean, just such a great opportunity to like have people gather in that capacity, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome, and it's full day programming. It looks like
Full day programming, all day Friday, all day Saturday, and we're doing something kind of fun during the day. It's kind of first come, first serve. Go where you want. At night, you're going to have a ticket that you've picked, but we're doing some really over the top fun things at night, and you have a ticket, and so you know where you're going and how you're spending your evening.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And I guess there's a kind of a choose your own adventure sort of component to
That's
it.
so awesome.
Exactly
Yeah.
right.
Oh, that's
Exactly
fun.
right.
I believe I'm now a minister in your church. Sarah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I checked out there for like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But, I was like the Stoned Ape t-shirts. Ooh, I'm going to wait on that.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I'm not allowed to have any more t-shirts. But
Yeah.
We're having a lot of fun.
yeah, I see it. And the event sounds so cool. I'm so grateful you reached out too. I'm so glad we connected.
Yeah, honestly, I have no idea how we came in touch with you, but like as soon as I saw my assistant actually was like, "Hey, do you want to talk to this person?" And I was like, "Psychedelics in the what?"
Matt sent me the fucking email,
like,
and I'm like, "Yeah, what are we doing? Why are we not talking to them now?"
Yeah, and I was basically like, "Oh wait," and she's like, "Oh yeah, you should talk to Sarah, on our founder," and I was like, "Can we do that today, right now? Like,
let's go.
Let's just jump on the.
Let's go.
Yeah, what's she doing right now? I we could make this happen. Yeah, no, you're actually coming along at a great time. We actually finally, after 2 years of doing the show, got our shit together and can publish a show in a timely manner because.
Nice.
I mean, we did almost 50 of them before we published one. So,
Well, look, let me tell you, my assistant who pitches podcasts for me was like, "Is this right? Because it says you got 50 episodes up, but they're all from like 2021. Yeah. And I was like, "Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, we're catching up. Yeah,
we're getting there. Don't give us some grace."
So mine is going to be posted in 2023.
No. That's what I'm saying.
No.
We're we're almost there now.
Matt has mastered AI.
Yeah.
And this will be ready to go in 5 minutes.
No.
It'll be a little bit longer than that, but not too long.
And we're also trying to push live our YouTube channel, because we have all of our episodes recorded, and we just never even viewed this project as like a video thing. But we're like, you know what? Some of these are just really fun conversations. This would definitely be one of them where I'm like, you know what? It's more cool to watch this one sort of in person than you know what I mean? Just because it's.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just especially with animated conversations, we've had a couple people that we have never had a bad guest, knock on wood, but we have had
we've had one
guests.
that shocked me so much I said nothing, to the point where Matt actually texted me after. He's like, "Dude, where were you?" And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
He said, and then I kind of froze, and I was like, am I being punked? I don't know.
But most of the time, the worst case scenario, we've had slow guests where we had to coax them out of their shell, and those are maybe a little less fun to watch. But a lot of them are just like super fun. So.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to drop this when you're ready for a follow-up conversation. Whether it's me or my husband, who really is a lot of fun, you can get a political conversation out of him. One of the things
I almost want to have a legal conversation.
Yeah,
I
right,
think that'd be kind of cool.
Awesome. He's a lot of fun for that. But the church purchased 683 acres 1 hour outside of Salt Lake City, so like 30 minutes from our airport, that we're turning into festival grounds. And because we're a church, we're going to like compost bodies and do afterlife care there that's infused with mushrooms. It's like such great stuff we're doing. So we can dive into all of that.
That's some next level
we
shit,
start
Sarah.
with that shit,
Yeah.
Sarah? We're
Jesus
wrapping up.
Christ.
God damn it.
Sarah,
Look, Sarah, have
Sarah's
you ever...
Like, by the way...
So this is super like random, but have you ever heard of like Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, the Bob Ernquist? You could totally do that on that, but basically you have a whole bunch of people that meditate and they, set a clear heart intention, and then they give the coordinates to where they are, and then all these fucking lights appear in the sky and shit. And
that's crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out in the desert. It is amazing out there, and we're just getting started. We're so excited.
Hey, Sarah, you wanna throw a remote telescope station out there? Because I have an itch for a dark sky. I fucking love.
Yes.
Matt happens to be a little astral photographer here.
I love astrophotography, and
when
like
you come out for the festival.
I really do want to do that. Listen,
God damn it!
I'm not fucking
My
around,
wife is
Sarah.
gonna be
I
so
want to come
mad
out
at
there.
me. I want to go.
Like I'm telling you, I mean, so my wife's family has 2 houses in Park City, so it's not even that far away.
You totally should go.
Yeah, like so I'm sitting there going, man, I could definitely get a room to stay in. Tom, you definitely have one in there.
Yeah.
We can,
you know what, you're gonna like just talk to my
wife.
wife.
It's a Southwest flight away. Come on, man.
Clear it as long as it's not a Frontier flight, because those motherfuckers cancel flights as you're standing on the line to check in.
Oh yeah, no.
It's a direct flight to Salt Lake City on Delta. We're a hub.
Delta.
That's an easy one.
Yeah, Delta's another direct one, but yeah, no. Listen, I love we've never done a remote show before, and
we've never done a show. We're in the same city. We've never done a show in the same room.
That's correct.
Oh, that's crazy. Are you serious?
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Well, we started during like the throes of COVID.
Yeah.
Okay. So you just set up your rhythm, and you've never done it together.
Well, we never really had we weren't doing it on a regular enough basis for the beginning.
An amusement when it first started, and then it's like, well, wait, we both really enjoy this.
Yeah. And now, Sarah, we've got like a newsroom. We're publishing articles. Like we've got content coming out. Like, yeah, I mean, it's a whole. I mean, now it's evolving, but it's evolving because we have fucking awesome conversations like this.
I mean, this is the best part of it, is really just getting to talk to somebody cool every week, Yeah.
And it just makes me get to do crazy cool shit, right? Like, I mean, I just, listen, case in point, I just literally last week finished this like 6-week metabolic reset with these 2 guys we had on. Great fucking guests. Great thing. I ended up
Matt, you actually look a lot thinner right now, by the way.
I ended up losing 26 pounds in 5 weeks.
Whoa!
Yeah, it was crazy. And like, they wanted to sponsor the show, and I was like, no. Sorry, I don't know who you are. This sounds like horse shit. Fuck off.
Yeah.
No. And I said it nicer, not much nicer, because, it's called Irreverent Health, right? So we didn't have to be nice about it. But like, I was like, no. And so I did the program. I paid for it. Like I did the program. Like the whole thing. And I'm like, you guys have to come back on the show, even if it sucked. And they're like, it's not going to not
It's
work.
not going to, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to definitely come back on the show because you're going to tell us how fucking great it was. And I'm like, well, we'll see. And they're like, no, we won't. We already know. And I was like, but like, I never would have done this, like literally in a million years, had I not had this opportunity. So like, it kind of like defies common sense to not lean in on it when you're like, wait a minute, if I lean in, I get to do more of this. That's a no-brainer.
No, so smart.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
You really did trip into something that feels natural and really good. It's lovely.
And I love what you guys are doing. So we're gonna do our part to sort of spread the word on this.
Love that.
Along those lines, can we, for the sake of our AI assistants, can tell us like all the places to find you, and let's like lay out
dates of the festival, all that.
Let's
just
lay
do
this
one
all
more
out.
time. AI is going to pull it out and put it out there for you.
Yeah.
So it's called psychedelicsinthebeehive.com or .org. It'll get you there. And on most of the socials, we're in the Beehive.
Okay.
So they can find us there. And you can also go to thedivineassembly.org, and on Instagram, we are the Mushroom Church.
Awesome.
We are at Mushroom Church.
That's all amazing.
So I just said that wrong. At Mushroom Sacrament.
At Mushroom Sacrament. Okay,
Excuse me. So yeah, and then you can find most of the information there. The dates are January 24 through 26, 2025. Psychedelic Sundance with a P in front of psychedelic and Sundance.
For all the people who are too stoned to actually know how to spell that.
Look, I was having a problem, and I'm like stone sober right now.
Yeah. We're playing with, people are dropping that P in front of Sundance, which I think is clever and kind of funny. So yeah, those are places to find us. And yeah, we're doing some really fun things. And if we can help offer people protections or just a weekend of fun with the festival, we want to do whatever they feel good about doing with us. So
1,500 is your high water mark, is like precipice of breakout.
Yeah.
Kind of numbers.
So we're hoping to get between 3,000 and 5,000 people this year.
Jeez.
That's the goal.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know, Matt. I'm gonna have to get in the doghouse for this one, but we might have to go.
That might be fine. I mean, look, a long weekend in Utah. I mean, you could be like, "Hun, I'm going to see the Mormons. How much trouble can I possibly get in?"
I'm going to do some missionary work.
Yeah, I'm going to do some missionary work. It's for a church, for Christ's sake. Wow, how much?
We call it missionary work.
Missionary. Fucking love it. Trademark. Yeah,
that's great.
That's hilarious. Sarah, you've been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing time, man. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
Thank you. This has been a lot of fun for me. You guys made it very easy and really enjoyable.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, listen, everybody go there. We'll talk more about it. We'll put it everywhere. And thanks again, Sarah, for having a great conversation.
Hope to see you in January.
Indeed. Take care, guys.
Take care.
Be subversive, irreverent.
Health is wealth, but you knew that.
Everybody knows that.
But so is following us on social media at Irreverent Health. And check out our website for more exclusive content at irreverenthealth.com.
Oh, I like this.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Irreverent Health.